Okay, welcome everyone. We are live again. Thank you for coming into this beautiful space for the Women into Networking WIN community. My name is Allegra Jackson. I am the marketing medulla. I am here with Miss Ernest Cummings, and she is the corporate partner here at the WIN community. Listen, we've been having these roundtable talks for some time now, and I appreciate y'all for listening in because we talk about community and collaborations in a way where I feel that it really kind of hits the soul of the matter, where it comes down to things that we experience at our ups, which we call our wins, and our downs, and things that we learn from. And so we're able to just share those experiences with you all. Do me a favor and make sure that you comment for us. Let us know if something resonates with you. It helps us really build more on this conversation. And we do this every month and we do it on all of our local channels for our WIN community to make sure that we can just really share and build on our mission, which is to empower women entrepreneurs and the men who support us. So, as the founder of this wonderful organization, I number one just invite you in to make sure that you join us in all of our amazing activities, meetups, in person, virtually, and of course, me and Miss Ernest, myself, and Miss Ernest were just discussing the conference this year. She is our trailblazer sponsor, y'all. When I say we have women in this community that come through and show up, I'm not saying it because I'm just like, oh yeah, I just love to honor women. I do love to honor women, but we have powerful, powerful women that are moving and shaking in life in their business. And Miss Ernest is someone that I consider that. She's also a mentor to me and so many other people. So I just want to pass the mic over for introductions. And then also I do want to talk about, our community wins and some collaborations that we've made along the way that really we've been empowered by and also that we know can possibly empower other people. So Miss Ernest, I'll start with, just introductions. Pass it over.
Hey everyone, I'm Ernest Cummings. I am the founder and CEO of an amazing nonprofit called Secret Miracles Inc. And Secret Miracles Inc., we mentor young students on career planning, college prep, and entrepreneurship. I am also a well known government expert on assisting small businesses on how to do business with the federal government. I am a SBA, Small Business Administration SCORE mentor. And as Allegra said, I am a corporate partner with Women in Networking. And I am also considered a philanthropist because I love giving back and helping others achieve their goals.
I love that. I love that so much. And Miss Ernest, like she's been a powerful just a force in my life. I met you through connections and collaborations when I needed a mentor. That was like the beginning for me. And since we're talking about those wins, for me, I think that ultimately as I see the growth, like this is what's powerful for me is that I look back on, the beginning sometimes and I think on, wow, how far have we come from, times where we Ms. Ernest, I don't know if you know this, but sometimes in community, people get on your nerves, things happen, you feel like, okay, should I keep going, should I stop? And like people, it's just people are people, right? And we all do it, but I think being in leadership and really having you as a mentor was one of my biggest wins. I want to say that because that allowed me to really be supported, right? Where I was ready to like throw in the towel and smack somebody. And then I'm like, okay, maybe I shouldn't quit just yet because I do, believe in people and someone believes in me too. So why not, And so that was the first one I just wanted to talk about as far as, collaborations and community is concerned, because I think that now that I look on it as well, it has benefited the entire community, just from the mentorship that you've done, and corporate partnership, and being in alignment with those goals. And I think that because we have a lot of people that show up for our community, right? But I think it's different when someone understands the true, authentic nature of like what
Mhm.
you're building. And so I think those are two of the biggest components for me that stood out. And I think it's so important to have that in community because if you don't, you may have the best community, you may have the best, network around you. but you may not have people that can hold your capacity or your weight, right? So that's kind of where I want to stop. I want to pass the mic over to you and see what you think about that.
Well, what I think about that, when you say the word community, it means a lot of things. It means support. It means gatherings. It means groups. It means whatever you are looking for in that particular word. So when I think about community and collaboration, there are many levels because you can have a community with what I call a low collaboration, where it means it's just you and maybe a couple of lady friends or guys, and you guys just getting together, talking about things that's happening, etc. But then you can also have what I call an elevated community. An elevated community is a group of intellectual, financial supporting, knowledge giving individuals. So it depends on where you are in your community and what you're doing for your community. So that's kind of how I think about that. And I mean, we could talk about that all morning, but I just wanted to plug that in.
No, I'm inspired. I actually want to talk more about it because when you said the difference, I'm like, yeah, I can definitely see that. Um, and I mean, if I'm really being honest, in my position as a leader, I think sometimes, you do fear of being in, well, not really fear because I'm not afraid of anything, but it's like you kind of want to be careful about being in low vibrational type of situations, right?
Hmm.
And then when you talked about being elevated, I thought that that was really a great way of putting it because for me, I felt like once I started to elevate in my personal journey, then I was like looking for other people that were elevating too. Where honestly, before that, y'all, my wins were based off of the small circle that
Hmm.
I was exposed to.
Hmm.
And until I made, and I liked how I said this in another live stream, but I said until I made the decision, in my own life to elevate, then it was like, okay, now I want to find other community tribe
Hmm.
members, is what we call them, right? My tribe
Hmm.
of people who are thinking in that same way. I
Hmm.
just didn't think that God was going to bring the people, right? Like I didn't think it was going to be so amazing. And I think that's really what I feel community brings, right? Because just from a standpoint, so everyone, y'all, we're Women into Networking wins. So I do want to talk about from a networking standpoint because community is one thing, because I believe that you said it. There's all types of communities, all types of levels to community. And when I think about communities, there's spiritual communities, right? There's like family communities. And for me, I think that some of the core values I hold dear to is just being authentic, like not in the way that some people take it, like, oh, I'm just going to be me no matter how it affects people. I mean, like just truly being who you are and being okay with the failures and being okay with learning about who you are as a
Hmm.
person and growing in that. And I think community has allowed me to do that. Once I elevated and once I got to a place of like just seeing that there was so much more out there. And I think I saw that a while back, like in my life, but I wasn't ready for it. And that's another
Hmm.
thing I want to talk about. It's like, are you ready? Because
Right.
I wasn't ready for that type of community. I was so taken aback by the success of it all
Hmm.
and the big thinking, the big thinkers, and
Hmm.
that made me feel really small.
Yeah.
So I was that person at one point in time that I would just say, I'm not just not ready for it yet. But I do want to say that when I made the decision again to elevate, that it just started to come, and being open to receiving that type of support, I think was really big for the win.
Hmm.
Because you can be around elevated people, but if you're not open to getting support, like if you're like struggling with um asking for help or saying what's really going on, like I use the word authenticity, because if I'm being authentic, I know when I'm not doing well, right? I know when things are not going well. So I'm going
Mhm.
to reach out for support. But I feel like those are some real true components to be considered. Like, are we being that way when we're in community, when we're
Mhm.
elevated?
Mhm.
Those are some of the things I learned. Do you have anything?
Well, yeah, definitely I do. When you use the words, "Are you ready?" That is so important, and I want to talk about, "Are you ready?" In all of the different jobs I have and volunteers position that I spoke of earlier when I introduced myself, I'm going to refer to one of my other passions is helping small businesses, obtain federal contracts. And one of the main questions we ask small businesses in the initial interview, are you ready? Because if you've just been selling mom and pop and then you want to jump to federal contracting, that is a huge learning curve. So we have the in between programs where we work with mentees, I'm sorry, we work with mentees, and we slowly migrate them to understanding that process because it's huge. So I want to relate that to even what we're speaking about, individual businesses. If you are not ready for the big stage, it's best not to get up there until you're ready. When I started my nonprofit, I did not jump out there and start asking for funding and put myself on Facebook. And you're a witness of that. Because when you first met me, you was talking about social media, and I was like, I'm not ready for that. You have to be ready because your presence is so important. When you step on that stage, you have to make sure you have it right. I didn't say have it perfect. I say have it right. Because once you are exposed, that's what people see. That's what they're going to remember. There's a saying, if you say something wrong, people not going to remember what you said, is how you said it and how you made them feel. And I think that's so important when we are aggressively trying to build our business and build that community and work with individuals that have already been through what I call the fire, because we're all going to go through it. It's just how well you go through it and how well you respond. So I'll say this: whenever I have to come on Zoom, get on a stage, speak in front of people, I get the mindset, it is time to perform, it is time to act. Because you never know who's in that audience. You never know who's going to see that video 5 years, 10 years from now. So it's important for each and every one of us to know, are you ready? Be honest with yourself. Sit down, get a piece of paper. That's a common strategy. Write down how you ready and what you need to get ready. It pays off. Because getting up there not being ready can be devastating to your brand, to who you are, and to your business.
Listen, Miss Ernest will preach the gospel, y'all. I mean, that is so true. And I appreciate that because there's a mentality that comes along with that. We just passed Mental Health Awareness Month, and we celebrated a lot of different components of that last month. And I appreciate all of everyone who joined us in that. But when you were speaking, Mr. Nice, that really did kind of come up for me. Like, how are we
Mm-hmm.
mentally preparing ourselves for these things?
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think it's a end all be all journey. Like, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Like, I'm constantly working on my mental health, like every single day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that when you are in a space of community, especially in leadership, and I see we have some of our leaders joining us in a moment. I'll bring them on stage. But when you're thinking about leadership, you're actually an example for other people. Like, you're talking about showing up
Mm-hmm.
and being able to be mentally prepared for what that's going to take. And I've seen people really, like, show up when they weren't necessarily ready. Because I mean, like, it can be a doozy, and that like just crushed their self esteem, or just put them in this position where they just felt like, okay, I never want to do that again. When really, you are supposed to show up in as many places as you possibly can. I
Yeah,
believe if you have the capacity to do that.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but Miss Ernest, I would love for you to, just chime in a moment. Let me give our extra guest, Sarah, come on up. I'm going to bring Sarah up.
Hey.
I want to give Miss Ernest a break for a moment. We have some people joining the round table. Thank y'all for joining, Sarah. And then I'm going to bring Ariana up. Hello, Ari. Welcome. Wonderful seeing your faces. So we were just having a very strong-minded conversation, y'all. I really love it when we get this deep about just being intentional about winning in community. We talked about how we either have low vibrational energy in our community or we elevate, right? One or the other. We, really introduced ourselves first of all. So let's start with that, and then we'll get into it because I want to hear from both of you as well. Like, what are your takes on, your winning collaborations and community? Like, what does that look like for you, especially over time? I talked about Miss Ernest coming in as my mentor, and looking back and always looking at the beginnings, the humble beginnings, because y'all don't know when I started the community. Well, Ariana knows when I started the community, or anything you start, right? It's always going to be a lot of ups and downs. You're always going to go through things that are going to be like, okay, do I really want to do this? And Ariana saw that. And then, as you grow and as you build and you see that other people are supporting you, like Mr. Ernest came aboard, I was like, God, thank you, Jesus. Because it was something that I needed in my life to show that there are other people that will support you along the way as long as you keep showing up, as long as you really, put in the work and authentically be you and keep improving on that thing. So, I talked about that and we elaborated on, some more stuff. But I want to hear from y'all. So, Sarah, let's go over to you. Introduce yourself, please, and get into it.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah. I am the WIN Programs Manager and the New Jersey leader. I am also a organic social media strategist for my own business. Um, but yeah, what you guys were saying is a lot of people, when you feel supported, you feel like you can do more. I will definitely say that, and I felt like that with the WIN community because my own business has never been stronger. I would say over the last year, especially, like it really exploded with that extra support and the community and collaboration. Like we're there to support each other with just even simple things such as digital currency, co-modding, like just having that extra support can make all the difference in something small. This way you're able to put a little more energy into the bigger picture that you need to. So I think even down to the smallest little thing like that can make a big difference for an individual, especially when they're doing it all on their own.
Yeah, I totally agree. I want to hear from everybody before we go around, just go around the table. That was a good one, Sarah, though, because it's a lot of meat in there. Ari, go ahead, introduce yourself. Comments, please, as well.
Well, hello, ladies. Good to see all of your faces. I am Coach Ari or Ariana. I am the co-founder of the WIN community. I've been here from the very beginning, and I'm the Houston WIN leader. And I would say support. Let me say, I just got my ambassadors in Houston, and they are phenomenal. They are phenomenal. The networking and collaboration, what happens when you pull people in who have the same mindset, who are committed to the same mission and want to see the same things that you want to see in a community or in whatever you're doing, it really changes everything, because now you do have that support. Things happen, things shift, and sometimes you just need people who will catch you, people who will check on you, people who will, pick up where you have to pause and things like that. And so, even just from my experience of having my two Houston ambassadors who have stepped up tremendously. It really, really makes a difference. And that's community, right? Like, community is not solo. Community is not one person. Community is not just you. If you're trying to build anything great and you're doing it by yourself, it's never going to work, because that's not what greatness is. It requires other hands. Everybody is created for a purpose. So having that community is what has really shifted things, even for me, and just in a perspective, but definitely in the Houston area. So I enjoy this part of the conversation, because I feel like you really learn what community is. It's more than one, or it's more than two hands. More than two hands.
Well, I think both of y'all said some powerful things, and I want to go around again because I just want to give everyone a chance to really elaborate on more on this before we, start toning down the live stream. Thank y'all for listening. Make sure you just let us know how this resonates with you, because I believe, Ariana, you hit it on the nail for me when you talked about, like, everybody needs community. Like I was just saying earlier when I was talking to Miss Ernice, like, there's community in every aspect of what we do. Like, we go to church for our spiritual community, right? Or we go into our faith-based, avenues. We go into, our schoolings for education communities, or, whatever. Some people are in YouTube University. Either way, like, the point is that we all have our areas where we feel like we have to have a connection to people. And I was also saying that because I was sharing my ups and downs, y'all. We got to talk about it all. Connections matter so much so, but not knowing, like, what kind of connections to have, or what kind of connections you're necessarily looking for, and being, like, mentally prepared. And like Miss Ernie said it, are you ready? As I was scared at a point in time to make the right connections. And so that kept me out of the right community, right? I ended up being in places where I was just kind of just there, and I think that camaraderie is good for a while. But I do want to say this too, because something both of y'all mentioned, which was part of what Miss Ernice was saying, I believe, was elevation. Because when I thought about what we do in this community, opposed to communities I was in before, when I was just being like, okay, I'll just stay here, is because I was able to be around people who were challenging me and who were thinking higher than me, who were actually agitating the heck out of me. Like, okay, like, I know I didn't do that right, and they just checked me on that. Or, reminders, follow-ups, like, hey, and I think you said it, Ariana, you were like, if you, need that extra tap, like when something is going on and you need someone to pull up and support you and say, I'll take care of that. I've had so many things like that happen in this community, not just with what the story I shared earlier, but Sarah, right? Sarah, I even remember when I brought you, and I was like, okay, Sarah, I'm going to need some help starting in January. Like, it's going to go crazy. Can you be there for me? And Sarah was like, I got you. Just relax, And being from New Jersey, we already share that common, feeling of like, okay, we have a little bit of the same, like, go-getter mindset. And then building in community allowed us to get to know each other so well that I think yesterday, Sarah, no, was it yesterday or the day before? And Sarah was like,
yesterday.
Yesterday, Sarah was like, she called me and she was like, listen, like, I'm just going to run this past you. Like, I already know you're going to say yes. I already know this. I already know that. And I think that that's the beauty of it for me. It's not just necessarily about being in a place where you are a part of a big group of people, but it's like, what are the relationships that you're building there? Like, for me, I'm like so empowered by the fact that I look around me and I'm like, I have real individual relationships with all of these people and they have relationships with each other. And we all get to, like, sometimes if I don't know what's going on with Ariana, Sarah will tell me. And I'd be like, all right, she cool. Right. Because we just have that connection. And the same with you, Ari. Like, I think that you mentioned it, but even from the beginning times, like, Ari was the beginning, like the person, I literally had the thought of it and said, Ariana, I don't know what this is and I don't know what it's going to look like, but do you remember that day? I was like, but I need a witness to this thing, because I know God is doing something and I don't know what the heck this is, but we're just gonna, if you support me. then I'll be grateful, and she did. And so now, looking back years, we're here a couple of years down the road, and I really thank God for the opportunity to have those human to human connections, right? Because that's what allowed us all to have the benefit. And my business has consistently boomed without me having to put so much energy in my business and community. It's like I stayed in community and my business started booming. So I'm going to end it there because I did a spiel, y'all. But let us know, how this resonates. Mr. Nisa, I want to pass the mic over to you for any comments as well, and let's just pass it around, please.
Well, I agree with everything each and every one of you said, about community, about elevating yourself in the community, understanding the different types of community. For me, I have many, many, many communities, and I'm the boss of all of them. You know why? Because I know what I want. I just figure I'd throw that out there. I know what I want, and I know who I'm looking for to support my community. I mean, one thing we didn't touch on, which is real, if you have the wrong people in your community family, it could be destructive for real. And in my early business career, I have had that. But I strive to connect and network with individuals that are same mind thinking as I am, because it eliminates the additional pressure and struggle and stress. Okay. And it might seem like, oh, well, Miss Ernest is choosy. Yes, I am. Because the people that are in my community, we all are support one to another, and we all should reflect positiveness one to another, not trying to destroy the other one or bring the other one down or saying negative stuff, behind the individual's back, because that's not a real community. A community is supportive. Real community is supportive, and I'm glad that I did meet Allegra through SCORE and that she did have the WIN community, because I find for me, it makes me a better person. It makes me use the skills that God gave me. It really does. It makes me help others. That's always been my passion. And it forces me to be a better and a positive person, because there's no way I could be a corporate partner running around with all these different businesses and I got bad attitude, negative vibes. I mean, that's just not the way it should be. So, yeah, community is important. It's important who you have in your community. It's important that you know what level of the community you on. If you need to be in the mom and pop community, that's where you need to be. But when it's time to get on the stage, you have to be ready to get on the stage, because your first impression is what people really remember you by. And if you mess that up, you can troubleshoot, but get it right the first time. Take the time and get it right the first time. Over.
That's wisdom right there. Thank you, Miss Ernest. I appreciate that. Sarah, go ahead. I would love to hear from you.
So what resonated for me when Ernest was saying all that was, they always say, look at the five people you surround yourself. And for me, I would say I look at it from the five people I surround myself consistently personally, and the five people like I surround myself professionally. And I think about just like 5 years ago, who who they were before and who they are now. Because it's a drastic difference. It's like a total 180, and it really does make a difference. It makes a difference in your mindset. It makes a difference on how you're going to level up, if you're going to level up, because those people's mindsets or their toxicity even can trap you, make you feel stuck. And I look at who I'm surrounding myself now with. Like personally, I have my two close friends, one friend from childhood, and I'm close to my mom, my brother, my boyfriend is amazing compared to my ex. And now I have the WIN community, because I've gone through quite a few different networking groups over the years, and not everything hit home right. Like it was okay, it was an all right environment, but it just wasn't helping me flourish. So that's what resonated for me. Think about who you're surrounding yourself with personally and professionally, and if any adjustments can be made. So over.
I love that. Go ahead, Ari. I want to hear from you as well.
I love the fact that Mr. Ernest pointed that out because it's such a huge thing. And sometimes we stay connected to people and places and things that are no longer serving us. They're a past version of who we are or who we were. And I think a lot of times we don't understand that sometimes those relationships is exactly what's keeping you from the elevation. Because I feel like internally, when it's time. When it's time for a shift. You feel the shift. You hear the shift in your spirit, And when you stay connected to the wrong things or the wrong people, it stagnates you. It could be you're feeling the shift, you're feeling the growth, you're feeling the elevation, but you have a conversation, they're still talking on the same level. And it's just like, and you don't understand that conversation is pulling you right back down. It's not feeding you, it's not pushing you, it's not agitating where you are today. And so it is really important. I remember having times where I went like on a fast from just talking to people because I felt it. And if your conversation doesn't match what I feel, you have the potential to hold me back. And I think, I've heard people say, don't give people that much power, but Jesus chose 12. So when Mr. Nee said, I am choosy, I'm like, she right. He chose 12. And then other disciples were made, but it was 12 of them that were in his inner circle. And yeah, there was Judas, but we all have to experience you have to experience a shift to get you to your next. That's what I'll say. So the betrayal, it was a part of the plan to elevate Jesus to where he had to be. So what I'm saying is, it's not saying that you won't experience anything in your 12, but you have to experience something to be elevated. You got to give a shift. There has to be something. But he still chose 12 people. And if we get really serious, he had 3 inner circles, and they were the ones that went up with him on the mountain. So to Sarah's point, to Mr. Nee's point, and to your point, be very choosy where you decide to put your energy and your time and your space. And I think as I get older and realize I don't have a lot of energy to expend anyways, this is currency. I can't be everywhere. I can't do everything. I'm not available for all these things. I got 4 children. I'm a leader there. I'm a leader here in the W.I.N community. I'm a leader in my business. I'm a leader in my church. I don't have that. I don't have no more money. I don't have no more energy money. I'm out. I'm bankrupt. So I can't be everywhere. And you learn that every opportunity really is not for you. Jesus was very intentional about where he went, right? Because he knew after me, the rest of y'all can go to other places I didn't go. So it reminds us that you don't need to be everywhere. You need to be where God wants you. You need to be where you're supposed to be, not everywhere. And so being connected to this community has taught me that I don't have enough money energy. Okay. Allegra has taught me you ain't got enough money energy, ma'am, to be everywhere doing everything. But it's a good thing because especially a person like me who's a giver, who will say yes to everything, to everybody in my family, to everybody over there, to everybody who need help. And it causes you to exert your energy, and that's not where it needs to be. You can't be effective that way, right? You can't really impact people that way because you're not on assignment. You're just everywhere. So I love what you guys said about who you surround yourself with, what communities you attach yourself to, what you choose to commit to. That's what comes to me. What am I choosing to commit to? Because if I commit, I got to show up. If I commit, whether it's friendship, relationships, communities, leadership, if I commit, I got to show up. And when you really get mature in that thought, you don't commit to everything. You don't commit to everyone. I don't need 10 people calling my phone. I'm not available for that. So I love what you guys said. And that's what about it for me. What you commit to, you have to show up to. Make sure whatever you're committing to, even in a community, even in a relationship, wherever that is, you have the capacity to show up because that's what is required. And when you think about that, you do become, like Ms. Marie said, you become more choosy. You start getting real serious about, okay, this is what I want. This is what I don't want. This is what's for me. This is what not. This is not what's for me. And it to me, it makes you holistically, it makes your life run better. Business, it makes your business run better. Mentally, emotionally, because I think when we came on, you were talking about the mental health, your mental health mentally. And I can speak from experience. It helps me to be better because I'm not overextended. So that's what came up for me.
Listen, this was a powerful roundtable. I want to thank you, ladies, for joining in. Ariana, that was amazing. I love your in-depth approach on this, especially just really showing. Y'all know Minister Ariana, right? She got to show us the comparison to Jesus's life, which we love because it's no better brand. And Sarah, thank you for joining as well. Just taking the time to really go deeper into, the success of community and how it really impacts business. And Miss Ernest, with all this wisdom and shared experience, I would just say, we have a lot of gems and diamonds and gold nuggets here. We used to say that a lot, right, in this treasure chest of the community. But we don't benefit unless we dig into those gems and unless we, really take action, start networking, utilizing the spaces. So I just want to give everyone a call to action. Join us in this community. Make sure that you get involved. I said in the beginning, we have amazing sponsors and partners. We have the conference coming up in September, y'all. Miss Ernest is a Trailblazer sponsor, and we were just discussing like table setups and banners and all these things that we have available. But listen, it's about showing. You want to show off your products, you want to show off who you are in business. That's part of what we do in networking. You should, you work really hard to do what you do, so show off. But also, we have amazing speakers. We have keynote speakers, breakout room speakers. We also have amazing vendors at the W.I.N exhibit, y'all. We also, it's a 3-day conference that you'll be able to experience that one-on-one in person, right? Like, we love giving each other hugs. Every time I see one of the W.I.N members walk into space, especially here in Atlanta, because shout out to Atlanta. Miss Ernest walks in the room, y'all, and I posted that on our social media page. Go check out our story on Women into Networking, because I said we never show the behind the scenes. Like, y'all get to see the beautiful photos where we're like, okay, yeah, we met up. But the behind the scenes is where it's at. Miss Ernest will come with her shoes. She will show off the latest, the greatest, and we're a little bougie. And so we love to just really experience that in person. And so we get to feel that energy. So if you are in any city, okay, we want you to be able to get your tickets early and fly in for this event in September. So stay tuned. I'll drop the information in the links. Is there anything that we want to leave them with today, y'all? Any final words? Miss Ernest, Sarah, or Ari? I'll leave room for that before we cut off.
I'll just say, I heard this morning when I was on one of our members' book reading this morning. Miss Camille, shout out. The author was saying, you have to be who you are. Remember what I'm saying. You have to be who you are. You know why? Because there's nobody else like you. So those that are, on this virtual meeting and those who are listening, take some time and learn who you are. You're unique. You have a purpose. And when you walk in that purpose, your life changes. I'm a living witness. Your life changes and it continues, as Ariana said, to elevate to the unknown. I travel a lot. I do a lot. You know why? Because I want it all. I want all that God has for me. I want it all. Because if I don't take it, somebody else might get it. And it's not for them. It's for me. So that's my thought I leave. Over.
I would say my final thought, being it's on community, is I am really looking forward to the conference to meet the community outside of New Jersey, all these amazing people I've connected with virtually that I can't wait to meet them in person. I would say that would be my final thought.
Okay, listen. Thank y'all so much. Thank you for whoever gave us that heart. I appreciate you. We see you. And if you're listening on this replay, we really appreciate your contribution to support us here in the WIN. Thank you again, Miss Ernest. Love you so much for always supporting and being such a wonderful vessel here to pour into us and communities. Thank you, Sarah, for all your support. Love you, sis. So amazing. Just my support, my side hustle there. And then also Ariana for always being by my side. Thank you so much. This is about community collaborations. We'll see y'all next month. Bye.